Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Motivational Intelligence Podcast. I'm Sean Johnson, and on this podcast, it's our job to dive into the minds, take you inside the minds of extraordinary people. And one of the things that extraordinary people tend to have in common is the attitude of gratitude. So that's what today's episode is about. I sit down with John Casey to talk about this, and we do this conversation kind of in three parts. The first is, why is gratitude important? And we talk about all of the benefits of it, from health benefits to improving sleep, longevity, increased energy, more exercise, to better careers, improved decision-making, increased productivity, to better relationships, people like you more, to better emotional health, to more optimistic and less self-centered, increased self-esteem. The benefits are endless, and we talk about that. We actually talk about the biology of why this happens, the chemical reactions that happen inside our mind with gratitude, and what are the couple things that are really simple that you can do on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis to make this work for you and help improve your life, quality of life. So I hope you enjoy this episode. Please check us out and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening to this, and drop us a comment on social media and let us know what you think.
The Motivational Intelligence Podcast is produced by the team at 2Logical. 2Logical is an international corporate training firm and the world's leading expert in motivational intelligence, which is the ability to understand, manage, and change the motives people have. 2Logical offers over 30 different keynotes, workshops, and full training courses to small, medium, and large Fortune 500 companies in 53 countries, a lot of which you're probably familiar with: Pfizer, Bank of America, GE, Constellation Brands, P&G, and more. All solutions are completely customized, and the feedback from these sessions will blow your mind. If you have any training or speaking needs or just want to say hey, head over to 2logical.com.
All right, we're back in the studio with John. John, what's going on, man?
Oh, everything and nothing, Sean, as is always the case.
Everything and nothing. Everything and nothing.
Well, we are going to get a little, transcendental and maybe existential.
Ooh.
So
Wow, transcendental and existential?
yeah, if we can do
Wow.
both at the same time.
Okay, wow.
Or
so
one after
we
another.
just like about to blow people's minds?
Well, yeah,
Okay.
of course.
Yeah,
it's always the
that's
goal.
kind of what we do, right? All right, so what I wanted to talk about today is, what we try to do with all of these conversations is take a deep dive into what's going on in the minds of successful people. And I think one part of that success is happiness. And so what I wanted to kind of focus today on was what's going on in the minds of happy people, and what can we learn from that? Are there paths that we can take and practices that we can use and all that kind of stuff in order to improve that part of our lives and improve the quality of our lives?
Yeah, you bet. And happiness is can be the end, the goal, or it can be part of the means. And it's such a personal and individual journey that it's really hard to create some path that all can take. But if we could talk about what it is that anyone or everyone can and should embody on their own journey that will help accelerate their journey to happiness and their own definition of success. I think that's really the key. By the way, we're recording this podcast in early December.
Yeah, good time of year.
So it is a great time of year to talk about, gratitude. And being thankful. Thanksgiving is a holiday that's celebrated in the United States at the end of November, middle of October in Canada, in all parts of the world. Our calendar, of course, is a man-made convention, but the seasons are not. And in cultures across the world, at the end of a year, usually after the harvest is brought in, there is a gratitude celebration. There is a thankful celebration that cultures throughout human history have celebrated because they're grateful for what they have and that they're still with us. And this is such a universal topic. As I was thinking about the subject and going through my voluminous list of quotes, I found quotes from every culture from human history. For example, here's a Chinese proverb. If you want happiness for an hour, take a nap. If you want happiness for a day, go fishing. If you want happiness for a month, get married. If you want happiness for a year, inherit a fortune. Only a year? That'll last.
Yeah, geez.
Interesting. Then here comes the clincher. If you want happiness for a lifetime, help someone else. Wow, very revealing. And here's a quote that is attributed to Buddha. Let us rise up and be thankful. For if we didn't learn a lot today, at least we learned a little. And if we didn't learn a little, at least we didn't get sick. And if we got sick, at least we didn't die. So let us all be thankful. That clearly lets us know that if we look, we can always find something to show some gratitude for. In Roman times, Marcus Tullius Cicero said, gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the mother of all others. So there is a historical and cultural bedrock or foundation for this wonderful ability that we all possess. And, in some of our other talks, we've talked about what is innate to humans and what isn't. And, ever since we've decoded the entire human genome, we know what our genes do, and none of them really go to skill or our job or career. And, they don't drive our success. They kind of create our central nervous system in our brain and our physical characteristics, and we get to kind of do everything else on our journey. And so the things that were actually innate, and I've been reading about this for a few decades now, breathing, it's called involuntary. You can't not do it. Obviously, those that are born without that involuntary breathing thing don't last very long, so they don't pass on their genes. Suckling is also innate. Some newer research, laughing. Laughing
really?
Is innate.
Innate.
It doesn't have to be taught. You don't have to learn it by mimicking another.
Huh.
It's automatic. It's natural, and you see this very early in newborns, along with smiling.
Huh.
And even babies that are born blind, so they have no visual reference,
they have
copy.
no reference point.
They will still smile.
Huh.
So it's involuntary. And here's the latest, helping. And
really?
I'm thinking, how did they find that helping is innate? It's born to all.
Yeah.
So they got 8, 9, 10-month-old babies, and they had them on the floor crawling around in active alert. And an adult would drop something within the reach of a newborn or baby, a couple months old, crawling. And time after time, that baby, noticing that somebody dropped something, would reach for it, pick it up, and hold it to the person who dropped it.
Really?
So, so we're born with that.
Yeah.
Those are things that are innate. Now, obviously, they can be conditioned out.
Sure. Well, yeah, and the more and more that I wasn't aware that those were laughing and smiling, and even helping. It's you have. There was an intuitive sense that people are born this way, but the more conversations like this that I have, the more I feel like you start to realize that people are born pretty much the way they're supposed to be. There's a design there. However, it came to be that we talk and we use the example about the child learning to walk and that they never give up, and now to use the example of the laughing and smiling and helping other people is innate. It's something that's already, pre-built in. It seems more and more that, we're kind of born the way we're supposed to be, and then we start to learn how to not do things.
Well, yeah. So, deconstruction or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think you're right. I think we have everything we need to build the life we dream of. And, if you think about, evolutionary history, we can go back thousands of years and see these great Chinese proverbs or Buddhist quotes or Roman quotes about gratitude and how important it is to build a life filled with it. But if you think about it, it probably was a driver of what created human civilization. Tens of thousands of years ago, we were not on the top of the food chain. We were, part of the food chain, middle of the food chain type of thing. And we were just, a weak mammal. And it wasn't until we started coming into groups and creating, civilization, where we had to rely on each other to do certain aspects of day-to-day life. And without relying on others and serving others, we would not have formed communities, towns, villages, or whatever. We wouldn't have built anything that stood the test of time. So, I guess those that were, selfish didn't survive or weren't welcomed into the community, and they were voted off the island, if you will. Yeah. So you could make a case that, without gratitude and service to others, we wouldn't have come as far as we have.
Yeah. No, I think that definitely makes sense. And it seems, for it to go back, it's not a new idea. Very clearly, it's going back tens of thousands of years, and it's an ancient idea, and it's a global idea. It's not confined to any one place or one time. So I think you're right. It seems that you could tie a lot back to that.
Well, and it's like all higher level abilities, we're born with a nice foundation of it, but we have to practice it. We have to keep it at a high level of awareness. Larissa Gomez said that being thankful is not always experienced as a natural state of existence. We must work at it, akin to a type of strength training for the heart. And it's true. We, as we journey through life, train our eye and ear always to pay attention to certain things. And some people swing and miss on that, and they're missing a whole bunch of things that they should be paying closer attention to.
Yeah. Gratitude is strength training for the heart. I like that.
Yeah, isn't that something?
Yeah. So it's an ancient idea. How can we tie this back? Because I think there's a lot of science and a lot of studies and both scientific and just observational of in more modern times. How does gratitude improve the quality of our life and in different areas of our life? Does it?
Right.
And what are they?
Yeah, without question. And, over the last, 30, 40 years, there's been just tons and tons of research on this. And, you can come up with a list of half a dozen or 2 dozen or whatever. But I want to focus a little bit today on 7 scientifically proven benefits of gratitude.
Ooh, perfect. All right.
So, and, I can quote you the research and whatnot, or maybe we could throw up some links if people want to download.
Yeah, well, we can link to everything in all the studies in the show notes.
You bet. So number 1, gratitude opens the door to more relationships. Not only does saying thank you constitute good manners, but showing appreciation can help you win new friends, according to a recent study published in the journal Emotion. The study found that thanking a new acquaintance makes them more likely to seek an ongoing relationship. So whether you thank a stranger for holding the door or send a thank you note to a colleague who helped you with a project, acknowledging other people's contributions can lead us to new opportunities. Why not focus on how to do that better?
Yeah, I think it's magnetizing.
Well, and there's more. Gratitude improves physical health. Grateful people experience fewer aches and pains and report feeling healthier than other people, according to a 2012 study published in Personality and Individual Differences, that medical journal. Not surprisingly, grateful people are also more likely to take care of their health. They exercise more often and are more likely to attend to regular checkups, which is likely to contribute to further longevity. So improving our physical health and living longer, if you were to hear about something that could open more doors to better relationships, improve our physical health, improve our psychological health, enhance empathy and reduce aggression, help us sleep better, improve self-esteem, and increases our mental strength and resilience, would you be interested in doing something, a daily habit for only a couple of minutes that could lead to all those things? Of course anybody would say yes.
Yeah, and they're scientifically backed. They're scientifically proven. That's what happens.
Scientifically backed. Psychological health. Gratitude reduces a multitude of toxic emotions, from envy or resentment to frustration and regret. And this should be, really thought about by anybody that's feeling any pressure or angst. And he spoke about the researcher Robert Emmons, a leading gratitude researcher, has conducted multiple studies on the link between gratitude and well-being. His research confirms that gratitude effectively increases happiness and reduces depression. And I have some reasons why, and I'm going to mention some fancy names of neurotransmitters that you may have seen in the news or heard about. Oxytocin. Oxytocin is a pretty cool thing. It is a hormone that brings down blood pressure, slows our heart rate, and relaxes us. And you still can pass a drug test. Oxytocin is this wonderful hormone that we all manufacture that can do all those wonderful things. And they have actually measured it being released in not only people that are showing gratitude, it is those in receiving it. So whether you help someone or someone helps you, you both get a bounce in oxytocin.
Yeah. So it's contagious.
It's a win-win, yeah.
Yeah. And that probably ties back to why that show of gratitude helps people build more relationships and better relationships.
You bet.
Because that's firing that oxytocin for both people.
Yep. And it is, I'll tell you a story in just a second about the contagious aspect of it. Gratitude has also been proven to increase our level of serotonin, which is the stress-reducing hormone. And both oxytocin and serotonin are wonderful neurotransmitters that our brain can release simply by helping someone else or receiving help from someone else. We get this bounce. If we don't have daily gratitude, giving or receiving in our world, we're probably going to continue to increase our levels of stress, angst, lack of control, uncertainty, doubt. All these things actually release a different hormone, and you may have heard of this one as well. It's called cortisol, which is known as the stress hormone or the fight or flight response.
Yeah.
Which, tens of thousands of years ago when we were food, it was a really helpful thing, run away or fight. Now, we still have that vestigial, neurotransmitter, and what it does, it prepares us fight or run away in a situation where we feel overwhelmed or stressed.
Yeah.
And by the way, what that does biologically is it takes the blood away from our brain. Because why would we need to think? We're just going to fight or run away. We don't need to think.
It's going to be
anymore.
Instinctual.
So the brain loses blood, and that blood is moved to our large muscle groups. So we ain't thinking clearly.
Yeah.
Oh, and also, by the way, that's cortisol release, that stress thing. Our body starts to shut down, major systems like our immune system, like our digestion system, like our reproduction systems. Because heck, if we're going to be food, if you could die, none of those things, other things matter.
Yeah, exactly.
So even in our modern age, people are still in these patterns where they are really impacting their long-term health benefits by shutting down their immune system or digestion or whatever daily because of the extra release of cortisol. So the cure, of course, is release more oxytocin and serotonin, and the best, easiest way to do it is to give and receive gratitude.
Yeah. Well, and I think probably even more so in modern times, I feel like people are more stressed now than I feel like at any time before. And I actually saw this I read this really interesting book called Play, but it was about this guy that he was working for one of the a major podcaster, actually, Tim Ferriss, and he had he completely burned out and had like a mental breakdown. And so he kind of wrote this book about his recovery back. But one of the things that he did, he found out in starting to do a lot of this research was exactly this, that this cortisol is released and it triggers that fight or flight. But if you look at in nature, this, like, all animals have that where it triggers the fight or flight in them, and they tense up, it shuts down everything, and it's just pure survival mode. But if you look at, there's a lot of videos online actually of, if you look at animals in the wild, after that fight or flight response, they'll actually have these tremors where they'll shake to get the cortisol, to release the cortisol out of their muscles and out of their bloodstream. And people don't do that. And a lot of it is, the social thing. You can't, it's kind of like been this social conditioning of it looks pretty weird if you're, shaking and having a tremor. But there's a lot of research around how this affects, health and all those kinds of things. And it's a cause of a lot of like deep trauma and PTSD and all those kinds of things.
Oh, without question. And, so in our modern age, if you're feeling really stressed and you got a high level of cortisol in your system, walk around your building at work. Just go walk around. Take your head out of whatever game it's in and do something physically.
Yeah.
Take the dog for a walk. Walk around your building. Go up and down the staircase a couple of times. And that'll help you kind of process that cortisol out of your system.
Yeah.
Or while you're walking around trying to release that cortisol, hold the door open for people. Go help somebody, and then you'll just accelerate that reduction of cortisol through the release of serotonin and oxytocin.
Yeah, and there's actually I came across, there was this trauma researcher who developed this series of exercises. We'll link to it in the show notes, but developed this series of exercises that basically induce the tremors that release cortisol that your body is supposed to go through once it's in your system and the threat has left. And I've actually done it before, and you kind of like your legs shake and you have like this, but it's exhausting. But afterwards you feel like, like it really gets all of the stress and the cortisol out of your muscles, out of your bloodstream. So I'll link to that in the show notes. But it's really interesting to kind of see the biology behind it.
Well, yeah, and it's way out of my league on the science side of things. But how I see gratitude is it is a natural antidepressant. You cannot feel grateful and depressed at the same time. They're mutually exclusive.
It's impossible.
So that reminds us of a couple things, and that was only the first 3 scientifically proven benefits of gratitude. Number 4 is Gratitude enhances empathy and reduces aggression. Grateful people are more likely to behave in a pro-social manner, even when others behave less kindly. And this is according to a 2012 study out of the University of Kentucky. Study participants who ranked higher on the gratitude scales were less likely to retaliate against others, even when given negative feedback. So they just experienced more sensitivity and empathy towards other people and a decreased desire to seek revenge. And we could all use a whole lot more of that these days.
Yeah, for sure. And the feedback is interesting, too, that maybe it sounds like it even makes people more open to receiving feedback and feedback that could help them improve.
You bet, because we all know that we learn more from our mistakes than our successes, and negative feedback is very powerful. And heck, why even call it negative feedback? Because we learn more from it than the positive feedback. So It's not a bad thing at all.
Yeah.
Would you like to sleep better? That's number 5. Grateful people sleep better. Writing in a gratitude journal improves sleep, according to a study published in Applied Psychology, Health and Well-Being. Spend just 5 to 15 minutes jotting down a few grateful sentiments before bed, and you'll sleep better and longer. Wow. Number 6, gratitude improves self-esteem. A 2014 study published in the Journal of Applied Sports Psychology found that gratitude increased athletes' self-esteem, an essential component, of course, to optimal performance. Other studies have shown that gratitude reduces social comparisons. And rather than becoming resentful toward people who have more money or better jobs, a major factor in reduced self-esteem, of course, grateful people are able to appreciate others' accomplishments and then perhaps study them and understand the cause and effect that led to somebody else's success, rather than just hoping and wishing or trying to put them down because they had it easy or were in the right place at the right time, or all those other reasons unsuccessful people use to describe other people's success.
Yeah, and even just from a leadership and management perspective, just being able to be in a psychological spot where you give people the recognition of when they do achieve something, and even when they achieve it, or especially when they achieve it without your help or without you being involved, instead of being threatened by it, you're happy about it.
Yeah. Yep. And the last one, and I'm sure this is not the only list of scientifically proven benefits of gratitude, is that gratitude increases mental strength. For years, research has shown gratitude not only reduces stress, it plays a vital role in overcoming trauma. A 2006 study published in Behavior Research and Therapy found that Vietnam War veterans with higher levels of gratitude experienced lower rates of PTSD. And a 2003 study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that gratitude was a major contributor to resilience following the terrorist attacks on 9/11. Recognizing all you have to be thankful for, even during the worst of times, fosters resilience. And that thought alone reminds me of one of my favorite quotes from Khalil Gibran, who said, and this, I had to read this a couple of times before I really figured out how grateful this person was to people that maybe he shouldn't have been grateful to. Mm-hmm. So listen to this quote. "I have learned silence from the talkative, toleration from the intolerant, and kindness from the unkind. Yet strange, I am ungrateful to these teachers." So I guess even being around jerks,
yeah,
or people that don't exhibit gratitude and instead just focus on ego and superiority and selfishness, we can learn from them. As we know in our management and leadership training, you can learn from a good boss or a bad boss.
Yep, learn what to do and what not to do.
So, being grateful to bad examples, so we don't have to do those things ourselves. Yep. I think what a wonderful way to again learn and be grateful.
Yeah.
So, as you know, Sean, I've traveled around the world, and being in Asia, parts of Asia, or Africa, or other parts of the third world, and I like to get off the beaten path and go meet local folks. The kindness and generosity that I've received, pretty much everywhere I've gone, usually from people that have little or nothing to offer a guest, and they go over the top.
Yeah.
And they'll not eat food themselves and offer to give a guest food. And I didn't want them to do all that for me.
Yeah.
But what I eventually realized is they weren't necessarily doing it for me.
They were doing it for themselves.
They were doing it for themselves, and how they felt and what they taught their children about a guest and how to treat them was maybe the biggest benefit, because I probably was out of their memory the day after I left, and they've never left mine. So it goes a long way. Even those that have nothing can show their gratitude and generosity, and again receive the benefits for doing it. And that's part of many cultures around the world, and less and less the more advanced or Western cultures. So maybe we're losing some of this. As
Sure.
We shouldn't.
Yeah. So for grateful people, a lot of what we talk about and what you talk about is the thoughts and beliefs of people and how that drives all aspects of their life. So if we're looking at gratitude and we're looking at grateful people, what are grateful people thinking, and what do they believe that maybe ungrateful people don't?
Yeah, that's the key. When we study great relationships, obviously they're two-way. Where if it's a friend or a spouse, partner, anybody, coworker, doesn't matter. If you've got a great relationship that's lasted, chances are both people in the relationship feel they're getting the better end of the deal.
Yeah.
They're getting more than they're giving.
Right.
And, they're probably both right and they're both wrong on that. But we're not going to stay in relationships where we feel like we're giving a whole lot more than we're receiving.
Yeah.
It really is a two-way street. Just like business partnerships with your vendors or partners, you partner with them and you work with them and you pay them because you feel like you're getting a good deal.
Yeah, you pay them. You feel like you're getting a deal where you don't pay them for the value that they're providing. You're paying them because you think they're providing more value than what you're paying them for.
Yeah. It's funny, back to, traveling around the world, very rarely do you see a price tag on stuff when you're shopping, in the third world or outside of the Western world. There's not price tags, and you have to negotiate. Mm-hmm. And I love it. Most Americans kind of freak out. But I love negotiating because when you do come to an agreement for the price of something, both parties are happy.
Yeah.
Both parties leave happy.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing at all. We talk a lot in our training about not only the most powerful success principle in business, but in relationships, and we call it the law of service, and we all know how it goes. The only way to get what I want is to help enough other people get what they want first. And that begets the law of reciprocation, which, when we go above and beyond to help somebody, they feel compelled to help us in return. And that's why we have long-term relationships with our favorite restaurants or our hairdresser or whoever. It's because we're both getting what we believe is the good end of the bargain. And Henry Ford really piloted this by just having the desire when he started his company to make cars affordable for the middle classes. And, that's all he wanted to do, is make cars affordable so that the people that built the cars could afford a car. And that's what drove him. It wasn't to become a billionaire or build a big company. He just wanted to help people. And Mary Kay Ash started Mary Kay Cosmetics. She just wanted to give people a home-based business opportunity that could help them, build their dream. And, it's, we're based in Rochester, New York, and, everybody's heard of Kodak, and, it's now a punchline or a joke because of what happened. But the company started, in the 1880s, all because a bookkeeper of the Rochester Savings Bank, who was an amateur photographer, found it very difficult to produce pictures, and all he wanted to do was find a way to be able to take pictures easier so people could share them with their families. And, people that build a business or a, reputation, a brand on service seem to reap the rewards that come from it, because they're not building goals about, being selfish or what I want to accomplish or get. They're building it around what I can help others.
Yeah, what can I do for others?
And, that builds a long-term business and relationship. And, of course, Kodak eventually forgot that, and they thought they were in business for some other reason. And that's the main reason they're out of business. They forgot what drove them to their initial success. And so it's a cautionary tale about, relationships and about business. But it really brings us right back to, not only serving, but being grateful for what we have. So, back to, what are, grateful people, successful people, what are they, what are they thinking? What are they allowing to dominate their mind? And it is a few simple things. And mostly they appreciate themselves, and who they are and where they've come from, their own trials and tribulations, and their journey, and maybe the sacrifices that their families made for their generation. And it's really, I think, gratitude starts with self-appreciation. Just like we say that all leadership starts with self-leadership. You can't lead others without being able to lead yourself well. So I think it does start with self-appreciation and self-gratitude. And it's funny. I maybe I'm different. That all four of my grandparents were immigrants, and I remember their stories. They were all four of them were alive as I was well into my 30s, and I remember their stories and the challenges and the difficulties they faced to get to the United States. And so I've never let my children forget it, and I've never forgotten it. And so I appreciate where I came from, as well as myself, and I think everybody's earned the right to do that as well. So I think it starts with appreciation, and there's simple things that we can do. We talk often about the power of affirmation, and all affirmation is anything we repeat. It's self-talk. It's the inner voice. Auto-suggestion, neuro-linguistic programming, whatever the heck you call it, it's just what you kind of repeat over and over, out loud or to yourself. So we can affirm what we're grateful for every day, and we should. And it can be little things or it can be big things. But doing it daily, creating a habit for affirming what we are thankful for, I think is a huge help. And it's getting harder and harder to do it since there's so many things competing for our attention. We've got so many things flashing at us and screens wanting our attention. So whether it's a gratitude list, just making a list and rereading it and adding to it the stuff we're grateful for, keeping a daily gratitude journal, writing down consciously what we're thankful for. By simply doing these things, we are keeping our eye and ear focused to look for and note all the good that's going around. Otherwise, we're going to ignore it. As we journey through our day, we can keep our awareness at a level of where we can be really astute about catching ourselves when we start getting self-centered or egocentric or I'm smarter or better or more experienced. That's such a slippery slope, and that thinking can become a habit. But keeping your awareness high so you notice opportunities where you could be more of a jerk, or where you could notice opportunities to really help somebody, especially a total stranger. I travel a lot. I'm in airports and on planes a lot, and people struggle. It's just such a wonderful thing to see an opportunity and then go help somebody. It may only take 30 seconds, but you watch them light up, and then you feel it the rest of the day. It's a wonderful thing. And here's that story I promised earlier. I usually board first on planes because I'm elite on a couple different airlines, and so I'm
fly a lot.
I fly a lot. Yeah. Approaching 3 million miles now, I suspect. So I get on planes early, and I get my stuff put away, and then I sit down, and then I kind of look for opportunities to help others because, well, maybe it's selfish. I want the plane to take off on time. Yeah. Got a connection I don't want to miss. So, and maybe that's tongue-in-cheek because then I look for folks that might be struggling with putting their stuff above their seat, or they don't know where they are, or they don't speak English, or they're trying to find a row number, and boom. I'm up. And, I've seen so many people that struggle with their luggage, and then I observe other people getting frustrated by that person. They're waiting behind them. They're looking at their watch. I'm thinking, just help them. Just help them.
Yeah.
So I'm up, and I'm helping. And a couple times this has happened to me over the years. I see other people follow my lead. I see other people start helping instead of complaining. And it's a contagious thing. Like those neurotransmitters, that oxytocin, that serotonin, those wonderful things that make us feel really good. It can be a contagious thing that can go through an environment, a closed environment like a plane or whatever. So, if we really keep our awareness high and look for opportunities to check ourselves from going down the wrong path, and then noticing, I think, the right way to behave. I think that's a great thing.
Well, yeah, it definitely is contagious. I remember a few years ago I was at there's this great Irish pub. Have you ever been to Barry's in Webster?
Yeah.
I figured. There's this great Irish pub called Barry's in Webster, New York, and people have probably heard about like something similar at Starbucks or whatever. Every once in a while, there's one of these kinds of stories. But I just decided one night, like I went up to the bar, I ordered a pint of Guinness, and I said, I want to buy, whoever comes up next to order a drink, I want to buy their drink. And they, so the next person comes up, and the bartender says, the person before you, bought your drink. So what do they always do? Like, all right, well, I'll buy whoever comes up next. I'll buy their drink. And this went on for probably 3 or 4 hours, as long as the bar was open. And nobody really knew where it started, but it happened for 3 or 4 hours for however many drinks that people were getting. But it's just people's reaction to, if somebody did something for me, like, oh, okay, cool, I'll do the same thing for the next person. You see that everywhere.
Yeah, I wasn't there that night. But I love stuff like that, and not for nothing. We're in December and approaching the end of the year and holidays and whatnot, and I love reading a story or hearing a story on the radio or whatever where folks that are trying to buy gifts, maybe for their children or their family, and they can't afford it. They put stuff on layaway. Mm-hmm. And it's all the stuff they want, and they hope they have enough money to actually be able to give the store the complete payment so that they can take what they've put on layaway to have for the holidays. I love it when total strangers go in and pay off somebody's layaway, so that family that was scrimping and saving, for a nice holiday has everything taken care of.
Yeah,
and especially if they're anonymous.
Makes it even better.
That makes my day, and it makes me want to go do something very similar to that.
Exactly.
So this is the season for that, and I think not just in Thanksgiving should we go around the table and make a list of what we're grateful for. It should be a weekly thing. It could be a daily dinner thing.
Yeah.
This could be something that we teach our children, that every day we make a list of what we're thankful for, what we're grateful for. I think that would go a long way to solve a lot of other issues that our society is facing.
Yeah, and I think there's opportunity. One thing that, at least for me, as we were talking about doing, around talking about this topic, and it's kind of been forefront of my mind. I think it's probably because it's this time of year. But one thing I've noticed for myself is that the little things are, how you do the little things is how you do the big things. And your ability to be grateful for the little things and be grateful for anything is what allows you to be grateful for the bigger things of where you came from or things. It's hard to be grateful for things in general, just like you talk about with goal setting. It's very hard for me, at least for me, to be grateful for things in general, but it's very easy to be grateful about things specifically. And it's the same with that you talk about goal setting. I think it also applies to gratitude.
Yeah, you're right, and I love that. The things when we're younger, the things that we think are little things, as we get older, are not so little anymore. And it's all about the little things.
Yeah, the little things are the big things.
Yeah, I agree. And back to that other theme that you and I always talk about, or we know and hold dear. It is specifics versus generalities.
Yeah.
Another great daily habit is specifically thanking people, not in general, but for what they do specifically to improve your life or make you feel better. Being sincere and specific with praise is a real important key, instead of just a drive-by, general vague thing,
right,
that we put a check in a box.
Yeah.
No, that's not how it's done. And yes, for some of us, doing these things may make us feel uncomfortable because we're not very practiced at it.
Yeah.
Well, that's on us. So
gotta practice.
We should practice that more, and we'll get used to it, and then we'll get better at it, because I think demonstrating gratitude or thankfulness is a learned ability. I think we're born with the foundation for it, but if we never explore it or build on it, it doesn't bear any fruit.
Yeah.
I think we have to remind ourselves, and we have to teach it through our own example, and then by having conversations about it. And this is a great time of the year to do that. But then again, any time of the year is a great time to do it.
Yeah.
It's not just as we look back on the year and reflect. It's you can do it at the end of every week. You can do it at the end of every month, quarter, and so forth. And it's not a bad habit. And actually putting pen to paper and writing down our blessings, and not allowing our burdens to dominate our mind is a real important step, I think, for everybody, in good times and in bad times. I don't think it matters, but I think it's an important step to do. It doesn't take IQ, formal education, or much training to actually put pen to paper and make a list of the things you're grateful for.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely one of those things that the more you do it, the more you see it. And I think ultimately, maybe where you want to get to is to be grateful for everything, even traditionally where things you would not be grateful for or be pissed about, or there's a former Navy SEAL, and he actually used to run the BUDS training, named Jocko Willink, and one of his things is whenever anything happens, he says good. He said it doesn't matter if it's I just won the lottery, good. I just lost $1 million, good. The transport didn't show up, good. And if you are able to do that, then you're going to see the opportunity in whatever is happening, whereas you would be lost in kind of your own stuff otherwise.
Yeah, no, that's it's all good. And I don't know if he traces that quote to back to W. Clement Stone, but he has a chapter in one of his books called "Got a Problem? Good."
Yeah. You're right.
And where there are problems, there are opportunities. And if you want to partner with somebody, helping them with their challenge is a good thing for you and for them, and then for us. So I am a big fan of that. Good. It's all good.
All good.
You bet. So here's a quote from a lady that is pretty grateful, and she speaks a lot about gratitude. And yes, I'm speaking about Oprah. Be thankful for what you have. You'll end up having more. If you concentrate on what you don't have, you will never, ever have enough.
That's true.
And
Oprah does it again.
Yeah, Oprah does it again. And she practices what she preaches. And, whatever, she's earned it, as somebody that has led such a difficult early life, filled with all kinds of abuse and being a teenage runaway. And then, of course, being the self-made multi-billionaire that she is, she's incredibly grateful, and she spreads a lot of that gratitude through her works. So it's a very revealing quote, and we all have enough to be thankful for, even if it's very little.
Yeah.
It is certainly something, and you look at Warren Buffett, who said, "Yeah, if you're sitting in the shade today, it's because somebody planted a tree a long time ago." All we got to do is pick our head up and look around, and there's no shortage of things that we can actually be grateful for that have had an impact on our lives.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all the places we want to go. I think we got a couple of good habits and practices of make a gratitude list, a gratitude journal, focus on the little things. Is there anything that you want to kind of leave people with as we wrap up this conversation?
You bet. We started with a reminder about happiness, and that is a very common goal for most of us. So here's a thought for you as we close the talk today. It is not happiness that brings us gratitude. It is gratitude that brings us happiness.
That's a good way to end.
Thank you, Sean, for your time today.
Thank you, John, for your time today.
You're most welcome.
Hey guys, one more thing before you take off. This is Motivational Intelligence Insider. It's just a very short, exclusive email every Monday that comes from Dave, John, and the guests on this show. This is the only place they share their very, very best stuff, and it's delivered right to your inbox every single Monday. This could include exclusive tips for upping your game, articles they're reading, videos they're watching, stories from the road, and on and on. It's the best way to kick off your week, and this content comes directly from Dave, John, and the guests, and is only available to subscribers of Motivational Intelligence Insider. So if you want these guys and gals to email you their best stuff, go to 2logical.com/insider. That's the number 2logical.com/insider, and drop in your email. And if you do, I hope you enjoy.
The Motivational Intelligence Podcast is produced by the team at 2Logical. 2Logical is an international corporate training firm and the world's leading expert in motivational intelligence, which is the ability to understand, manage, and change the motives people have. 2Logical offers over 30 different keynotes, workshops, and full training courses to small, medium, and large Fortune 500 companies in 53 countries, a lot of which you're probably familiar with: Pfizer, Bank of America, GE, Constellation Brands, P&G, and more. All solutions are completely customized, and the feedback from these sessions will blow your mind. If you have any training or speaking needs or just want to say hey, head over to 2logical.com.